Welcome back
Ooh.
once again to the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. I had to get that out because it's
Oof.
been a couple weeks. We're a little late, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. Life's gotten in the way. We've had some technical difficulties that we're still facing, but we're here.
Should we reveal them? Should I talk about the disaster
I don't
of
know.
the lighting process?
Well, I don't want to go too much. The people are not here to listen to our technical background, unfortunately. I had no Wi-Fi for a bit. He's got like a lamp, like a reading lamp as his source of lighting right now. It's a little
incredible.
sketchy. But we're here to talk Formula One. It does not matter what we look like at the end of the day, as long as I got service. We have quite a bit to talk about, quite a bit to catch up on.
We do.
Oscar Piastri wins the Miami Grand Prix. I think this was a crucial. It was a crucial race in a couple reasons. I think it was an opportunity for Lando to swing things back in his favor in a track that he won at last year and had the confidence to do so, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate thing is that didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
And there's two factors to that. There's two factors. One, Oscar is just at the top of his game.
True.
Unfortunately, everything Oscar does just seems to be, unfortunately for Lando, I should say, everything Oscar does just seems to like be 100% perfect at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The other factor isn't this race. It's leading up to, it's the last couple races for Lando for sure. But this race, he literally could not have done anything better. And we can talk a bit about the Turn 1 incident between Max Verstappen
I was about to say.
and Lando Norris. I'm not sitting here saying that there should have been a penalty or it shouldn't have been a penalty. At the end of the day, I'm always going to push for turn 1, lap 1 incidents should not be that harshly penalized. It's chaotic racing, and that's just going to be the way it is. Things are going to happen.
Right.
Do I think Max pushes out his elbows a bit too much there? Yeah, do I think it was not like really a slide and it was really he will close the door, knowing that Lando will be forced to back out. Do I think that's ideal for the sport and that type of behavior? No. But as people have mentioned, this thing only really seems to happen to Lando, which I think is interesting. And
yeah,
it makes me wonder, does Max just not, like, does he, when he goes wheel to wheel with a Lewis Hamilton or an Oscar Piastri even, or a Charles Leclerc, is it just that he thinks that they're gonna give him a bit more fight on that than Lando is, and Lando's just gonna back out to preserve the car because he's so concerned about crashing the car or whatever it may be, that he won't put his elbows out and keep them on track the same way that the other drivers will?
I honestly, I think I'd have to disagree with you with that one. I wouldn't say
I'm not making a statement. I'm making a question.
Sorry.
That's not a belief. That's a conversation. Just a conversation.
Right. Thank you for your conversation, mate. Right. So, Turn 1 incident. We've seen it. We see what happens. So when it happened, right? I was all frustrated and I was like, oh my God, this can't be happening again. Because, I mean, we all know this happens a lot with Max Verstappen. This is not something we're new to. Max is the type of guy, when he's got the room and when he's got the opportunity to do so, you're going to be run off the track at the end of the day. When he's within regulations, that's the way he races. It's something I don't love too much. I love clean racing, but it is also a part of racing. It's not something you want the FIA to penalize, because then they're just going to be extremely picky about everything. You don't want that. It's rubbing and racing. That's the way it is. Now, coming back to the question of if he only does it with Lando because of how he knows Lando behaves with these like fights. It's something I actually thought of when I saw Piastri overtaking Verstappen versus Norris overtaking Verstappen. It's a very, very different approach, right? When you look at Piastri, when they were fighting, you could tell he's like, all right, you're going to be dive-bombing this corner, I'll go for the switchback, right? So they might be alongside, but Piastri knows, okay, Verstappen's going to try to make this stick, and he's just going to be benefiting off of it. So he's not going to be trying to go alongside him around the outside through this corner. He'd rather back off a little bit more to get the better exit and to get him to the next corner. Norris, on the other hand, has more the approach of, I'm going to stick my nose in here, and I'm going to make you push me off. If that makes sense? Because that's exactly why Oscar didn't take a ton of time, because he was able to just compensate in the corner. He saw Max coming. He broke a bit, well, quite a bit earlier than Max did. Max completely outbraked himself and was able to switch back and just got the position. Norris, on the other hand, as I just said, he tried to make it work while being alongside Max. That's never going to work. He's going to push you off. The same thing almost happened in the same corner, but he was then just pushed off on the other side. Then he gets all mad about it and he loses more time. And it's just like, you're looking from the outside, you just get frustrated, because that's how Verstappen races. And like, I'm not trying to really put a ton of hate on Norris's racecraft. He's got amazing racecraft. He's been struggling with it a lot lately.
Amazing is a stretch, but
he's got pretty good racecraft normally. He's just struggling a lot right now. It's just, I feel like he needs a different approach when fighting Verstappen. Like, Verstappen's not the type of guy you want to go wheel to wheel with. You'd rather either have room to switch back or kind of leave the margin for this to work out. Because the second you're next to him, the next corner, you're going to be pushed off.
And maybe that is the conversation. Maybe the question isn't, Lando's not good enough to be world champion. Maybe the conversation isn't Lando's not good at this. Maybe he just has a really hard time with Max. Like, maybe this is just a hump he can't get over that some of the other drivers in his range, Piastri, Leclerc, Russell, etc. Well, Russell, not really, because Russell and him tend to just collide when they're wheel to wheel. But Leclerc and Piastri maybe might be the best examples, and then Hamilton, of course, but Hamilton's not in this conversation. Piastri and Leclerc, the difference maybe that they make is that they are a bit more confident when racing Max. They know how to race Max a bit better. And it could just be that whether it's a pressure thing that racing Max just gets into Lando's head at this point after so many attempts and failed attempts, or if it's just something about the way they drive makes it very easy for Max Verstappen to put a stop to Lando's attempts. And I think that is kind of like that view of like, well, Lando's putting his nose in there at the end of the day. And he's going to do that regardless. And so I think Max is just like, I know he's going to do this. Let me just, turn a little bit to the left, right. And then Lando goes, oh, he ran me off the road. And then sometimes he gets penalized, sometimes he doesn't. But then by that point, what we've noticed the last two races is that whether Lando eventually gets past him again or not, the damage was done. And now Lando has to play catch up. And unfortunately, when you're racing your teammate for the championship, you guys are in the same car, you're not going to have that much of an advantage. Now, I will say this. Lando Norris was the fastest driver on track after the incident.
True.
I think he was the faster of the two McLaren drivers yesterday. Now, some people will say Piastri was managing.
Mm-hmm.
My counter argument to that is listen to the radio calls a little bit. There was a lot of coaching going on in the Piastri, and of course on the Norris side as well, but they were coaching Piastri and where Norris was gaining time on him and how to combat that. And very rarely was it actually, was the gap not lowering. The gap was consistently going down regardless. So clearly it just seemed like Lando was the faster driver yesterday. Not by like a crazy margin, but definitely was the faster of the two McLarens in my opinion from my observations. And had he... Again, Piastri actually said this in an interview. When this is the situation right now, when this car is a car that I think ultimately right now isn't this massive advantage in qualifying pace. In qualifying runs, I don't think it has as big of an advantage as we think it does. But in the race runs, in the front, it is a rocket ship. It does suffer from dirty air quite a bit.
True.
obviously all the cars do, but I think the McLaren does particularly have a weird. But because it's so quick, it doesn't matter too much, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And their DRS, it was actually noted, is slower than a lot of the other teams around them. Their DRS isn't super strong down the straights. So when you are in a position where you're not leading at turn 1 on your teammate, it's really whoever's leading turn 1 out of Piastri and Norris, whoever's higher up on the road, doesn't matter where they are, they could be P3, P4, I think has the best chance to win the race at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, so there just needs to be less turn 1 incidents from Norris. That's that's going to be the key.
takeaway.
That's a lot easier said than done, but that's
I mean, we've kind of talked about this, about the McLaren and about how they've been doing this season, and you kind of just came in with it again. They're just really, really great at managing temperatures, specifically also in like when they're on racetracks where it's a bit hotter. Obviously, Miami being very, very hot, not very, very hot next to like Saudi or something, but still like a pretty warm race. They just seem to be managing their tires with an amazing care, and they don't really struggle with overheating at all, to the point where there was even an accusation made from Red Bull that they have water in the tires. So
and Zach Brown, did you see that?
Yeah.
Zach Brown had a water bottle that just said tire water.
No, they've sorry, yeah.
I was going to say this real quick. I think Zach Brown lives to piss off Christian Horner.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that guy wakes up and does is, how am I going to piss Christian Horner off today? On top of beating him in the Grand Prix, how am I going to do it even more? And he sits there. Christian Horner fucking hates Zach Brown. There's that clip from the Drive to Survive season where Christian Horner sits. He's like, Zach's just fucking annoying. So fucking funny, dude. It's fucking comedy gold. That's one of my favorite things to watch every weekend, is how pissed off is Christian Horner going to be at Zach Brown's antics this weekend.
I love that though. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love Zach Brown and stuff like the tire water thing. It's just it's funny.
Fun.
It's really, really funny. It's really,
I like
really
a little
funny.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, friendly competition.
Exactly. But yeah, there just needs to be less turn 1 situations. Obviously, I mean, since you said about the distances, I mean, we'll see in the next few races, but I believe the second those two are close together, being Piastri, Norris, okay, interesting, because I mean, they do fight. They're allowed to fight. No papaya. Well, yes, papaya rules, but like, there's no one in favor yet, and there won't be for a while, because they're both in contention of the championship. And Norris was gaining on Piastri, so we'll have to see. It was
a very strong track for Norris.
Yeah, for sure.
Historically, he's done well in the McLaren when it is a good car and when it's not a good car in Imola. And so I am excited to see how that plays out. I would really like to start seeing, though, because again, I think it's going to be a big tell when we can get into a race where they're side by side and Norris actually keeps it clean through the first corner. Like, and I know that is not a knock on Piastri. I'm not saying that, the only reason Lando's not winning the championship, well, that's his fault, right? I'm not saying that that's not a part of driving, is not maintaining it through turn 1. I understand that. I'm just saying, I think this early in the season, it's hard to say, but I think one of the big tells we could see on where this championship battle could go, if it's going to keep going in the Australians' direction or the other way, it might have some more momentum in the Norris, is going to be when they both keep it clean through turn 1 and they're close to each other on the racetrack, and like not one is trying to catch up to the other through the field. You know what I mean? That's going to be, but they aren't very rarely in those positions, which is weird. Which again, mostly Norris, but sometimes even when Norris is at the front, Piastri is somewhere else to be found, So it's just, it is hard to say. Do I think Piastri seems to be the favorite? Yes. Absolutely. But I think Norris knows this is his window. He kind of has to do it this year. And that's probably too much pressure. Piastri's just kind of going at it. He can probably do it many years from now. But this, I think, I think Norris knows this is his shot. And and he's really got to ace it for the rest of the year. But we do talk quite a lot about McLaren here at a Formula One podcast. So let's switch it up a little bit. You know who had a fantastic weekend? Our favorite young lad.
Yes.
Kimi Antonelli. Oh. I don't want to touch too much about the sprint race because we are kind of way, way late to the sprint race.
It's pretty bad.
And the race has happened. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But Kimi Antonelli obviously had pole position for the sprint race. Fantastic showing. He did struggle in turn 1, but that it wasn't whatever. And then even in the race had very strong pace throughout. And he could have done better in the sprint if he had not gotten ran into by Verstappen in the pit lane.
That's unfortunate
with the pit exit issue. But Toto Wolff made a good point here, and that's that Kimi Antonelli is about to come to some racetracks he's very familiar with, Imola, Monaco, etc. And the Mercedes that looks pretty strong. We could see the first Kimi Antonelli podium pretty soon.
Ooh, I hope so. Because I love the guy. I feel like Kimi is. He's incredibly young, and he's such a funny dude. I feel like he's one of those drivers where you love to see them perform. I feel like Kimi Antonelli doesn't have a single hater out there.
He's just pure passion.
Yeah. Exactly.
Pure passion. He comes on the radio and he's just like he's just yelling every single time. And not like in an angry way. He's just like, he's got this tone in his voice. Like he's just excited to be there. But then he does see like a penalty thing and he's like, is that not a penalty? And then his engineer will just be like, no. And then he'll be like, oh, okay. Understood. He's just like always yelling in conversation. It could be about anything. And I just love, like, he's just happy to be there. He's so happy to be there. He's like, if I was in a fun car. Like, I would also just be happy. You couldn't piss me off.
The big difference, the big difference between you and him in their fun car, though, is his fucking talent. Because he's.
I don't know what you're talking about. Have you seen me behind the wheel of my 2024 Hyundai Elantra?
There's a reason why there's never you and Kimi and Antonelli in the same room, right?
Right. It's just the injury. Kid's younger than me. It fucks me up a little bit.
Yeah, it kills me every single time as well. But the guy's got incredible talent. He's insane. And I remember before he came into F1, I was worrying that maybe this is too early for the young gun. Maybe there was too much inspiration taken of Max Verstappen being incredible and taking to Red Bull instantly. But I was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong because he's an absolute legend, and I think we're going to be enjoying seeing him these next few years. He's going to be definitely winning a championship, probably multiple, because that guy is just...
It's a long way away right now, but...
Yeah. You never know.
I don't know. He's definitely a world championship caliber driver.
And I love him with Toto Wolff. I love the edits of him with Toto Wolff. They always compare him to Tony Stark and Spider-Man. And
although I don't think Toto Wolff's going to die anytime soon. So
no, he better not. He's not going to.
I saw a bunch of people saying that in the comments too. It's like, yeah, okay, you can say that he's Spider-Man and Iron Man, but Iron Man kind of died. It was like a big tragedy, so that's risky. Let's not manifest that.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
For a movie that came out like 8 years ago.
So you can't.
Anybody who hasn't seen Avengers Endgame can suck my.
Whoa.
We are not a movie podcast. We're losing the plot here. We need to lock back in. We're rusty right now. Another team had a great showing was Williams. Williams was fantastic this weekend. They brought in, I believe, 12 points between the two of them. And honestly, the Williams may have been faster than the Ferraris.
Ooh. You're probably right.
The Williams car was at least damn near on par with the Ferraris this weekend.
Let me just check the standings real quick before I agree with you.
Albon was P5, Leclerc was P7, Hamilton was P8, Sainz was P9.
Look at you being all prepared.
Yeah, see? I'm the production team around here. No, but seriously, I mean, it is worth talking about. What is going on with the Ferrari? And obviously, I mean, I think we kind of knew Williams has been on the rise and could continue to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they should not be slower than Williams right now. I mean, that shouldn't even be a debate.
I mean, Ferrari being being a tractor is one thing, and then there's this team component which is not being helpful at all.
Oof.
I mean, looking back to Miami, every single time I saw a radio call coming from Lewis Hamilton, I was like, "Oh my goodness, what a terrible day to be a Ferrari mechanic." I mean, I remember the one where he was like, have a tea party while you're at it because like something was taking too long.
The swap.
Yeah, the swap was taking too long, and it's just, oh, dude.
It's very what's the word here? It's troubling that it's gotten to that extent.
Yeah.
6, 7 races in.
It's bad.
6.
It's really bad.
Really? Like, Hamilton's already fed up.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I bet Hamilton kind of regrets his decision right now. Now, there's always the basis of he's kind of already done everything he could do. He wanted to be a Ferrari driver probably like everybody does. But think about it. Mercedes is quicker. Mercedes is quicker right now, and that was his home. They treated him like they were God. You know, like he was a god over there. Like he had his whole family was there at Mercedes.
I wouldn't say... I feel like Hamilton's not the type of guy to call this a decision he would regret. I feel
not
like
publicly.
No, yeah, in private he's probably very sad about it. But being a Ferrari driver makes you a legend. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is a legend already, but Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari is something
if
crazy.
He's successful.
Yes. And I know he doesn't have a lot of time left.
That's the problem.
Maybe if he catches some footing and maybe it'll go well. It's just the issue that Ferrari seems to be producing a tractor every single year. So
we'll really have to see what the 2026 car looks like in the new regulations, and that'll decide a lot. But even then, I mean, it's just there's the Ferrari bullshit. They could build a rocket ship, and they're probably still going to fuck up the strategy. So it's just like it's this ongoing issue, and I think Hamilton's already experiencing it to a pretty strong degree. Yeah. I don't know. I do worry a bit for the future of the dynamic of that team right now. If it's already getting that heated, Leclerc is pretty numb to it. If you can't tell, he's not even yelling on the radio anymore at this point in his career. He's just like defending himself at this point. Like,
I feel like here and there he still gets feisty with it. I mean, the famous "it must be the water quote" is something. But
he didn't even like get mad. He was just like, let's add that to the words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, you know what? Yeah, this is the experience.
He's a veteran.
Constantly telling his engineer to leave him alone, like constantly.
I mean, yeah, but
let me do my thing.
He's radio calling him in a fight in the braking zone.
That's what I'm saying. But isn't that insane?
Places where you shouldn't say anything on the radio.
It's a bit ridiculous. Like, I swear, I don't understand what goes on in the Ferrari mechanics' heads and how they got these jobs. Sometimes, like, it's constant chaos over there, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, how are we? You guys are supposed to be the historical great Formula One team that's this embodiment of legendary, and it's just this is not the behavior I want to see across the board. It just looks messy. It looks sloppy.
Yeah, I feel like Binotto got way more hate for it than Fred's getting for it. I feel like when Binotto came in with Ferrari, I mean, the car was also better at that point, yes. But I feel like a lot of what went wrong was then put on Binotto. And when Fred came in, it's now like just like, oh yeah, it's just Ferrari, you know?
Well, I think that I think on one hand there is this expectation now that Binotto's set, that Fred is just now kind of following suit in. But I also don't think it's as much. I think there has been some successes, major successes from Fred's tenure so far. Leclerc finally winning Monaco, winning Monza, being the only team to win in 2022 when Red Bull was dominating, or 2023 when Red Bull was dominating. There has been some major highs in this Ferrari tenure. This just seems to be the worst of the regulations right now, where I am like, this is not looking great. They've always had, there's been issues over the past couple years, but nothing to where the extent of where it looks like it's at now. Like, this car just does not look good.
Yeah.
Because there was literally times in the previous tenure where we were looking at, it was the worst engine. Like, it was awful. Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc were on like the verge of tears every race weekend. Because their car was literally a tractor. Like, they were fighting to get into the points in 2020 and 2019. Or not 2019, but 2020. That was post 2019 where they had a pretty, decent year in the grand scheme of things. And it was just abysmal Ferrari behavior in 2020. It was bad. But yeah, I will have to see where it goes with Lewis and Ferrari in general.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
There's something we have to talk about.
There is
some big news post race came out today. You seem like you were on like a different wavelength.
The one I would have talked about was the one that got leaked.
Well, the doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into that. Just hold on. Okay. Hold your horses. One thing at a fucking time.
I just destroyed your point.
I had a great segue going, and now it's just like, we're going to start with the confirmed information. The confirmed information that also kind of supports the leaked information is that Flavio Briatore is now the team principal of Alpine in Enstone.
I did not see that.
And you did not see that. That happened today.
I was very busy today. I'm very sorry.
I don't know if that's excusable. We're here recording an F1 podcast. You're not caught up to your F1 news.
Hey man, come on.
This is a bit. We're really like getting back into it. But yeah, Oliver Oakes hung it up. They said he resigned. Now who knows why?
I did see that. No, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but so Flavio Briatore was the suitor to that position. That's why.
Okay.
So because he was, I believe in charge of like the driver stuff right now, which might have something to do with why he's stepping down. Maybe a conflict of interest that could be related to the second Alpine driver in Jack Doohan. It seems that they want Franco Colapinto in now. I think this sucks. I'm gonna be honest. I think this sucks. I think it sucked when Red Bull did it to Lawson. Of course, little different because he had a bit more experience, but I think these moves. I've said this before. I don't know in the time of the podcast if we've had much of these situations, but I think every rookie needs a year or two, at the very least. At the very least. I think 2 years really is the threshold. Through 2 years, they still suck. Get rid of them. Whatever. But if you're putting your future into a rookie, it shouldn't just be someone to fill the seat. It should be somebody that you are taking a chance on to be the future of the team and see how they can do and how they can grow. This is a very difficult sport. Red Bull did it to De Vries, cut him out halfway through the year. And now if we're going to be talking about Jack Doohan getting replaced by Franco Colapinto 6 races into the season, Jack Doohan has not been perfect, but it's not like he's been abysmal. He's not been great, obviously, but neither is that Alpine car. So
that's exactly
I don't get it. It seems disrespectful to Jack Doohan's career. They gave him the opportunity at the end of the day, and that sometimes is more than you can ask for. But I just feel like it sucks because now it's like, how is Doohan ever going to get a seat? There's no availabilities really. Most of the grid's pretty filled up right now with young drivers, anyways.
I feel like swapping drivers mid-season was more something Red Bull was always doing, and now it's become like more of a mainstream thing to do. And like,
Well, this is at least the first sign of that.
no, yeah. But it's like, hold your horses for a second. Alpine has got 7 points. They're second to last in this championship. It's not like we're swapping the guy out because we're fighting for a championship here. He's a rookie. And I mean, looking at the rookies in general, yes, they've been better rookies, and there've been some harsh crashes coming from doing, but give him some time. I mean, Colapinto coming in that car, yes, he's going to be doing great, and he's probably going to be scoring 1 or 2 or 3 points, but the car is not going to be better because of that. I mean,
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, we're not talking about championship contender here.
I think Colapinto's great. He's not going to come in and be stellar in the Alpine.
He was pretty good at Williams.
Well, but he's going to lose to Gasly. It's my point is, it's not like he's going to. That Alpine's so bad they're barely fighting for points anyways.
Exactly.
It's not like you're ever going to be in a position really where 2 drivers are scoring points very often. I don't think Colapinto changes that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I agree.
I think if there's going to be an Alpine scoring some weekends, it's going to be Gasly, because Gasly is just Ayrton Senna when he wants to be. Whenever he wakes up on the right side of the bed, sometimes he just drives that Alpine like it's not an Alpine.
Yeah. Part-time Ayrton Senna.
Seriously, dude, it's crazy. But that's going to be the only time you guys are really scoring points for the most part, besides a few exceptions with Franco Colapinto. But I think those few exceptions could have also come with Jack Doohan if you just gave him some more time. I think Franco Colapinto has a bit more upside or a higher floor. Yes, absolutely, because we saw some promising things from Franco Colapinto already. But it's still just like unfortunate. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Put your future in a guy that you've had in your academy for years, sitting behind. You've put tons of time to get him in the car and resources to get him in your practice sessions and things like that. And then you just take this guy from Williams, buy him out of his contract, sure, whatever, do that. But it's like, this is a guy that you've put your future into. And that's the thing, is I just feel like teams now, and obviously we've only really talked about it with Red Bull because Red Bull's really been the only one making moves over the past couple of years. Until some rookies came in this year, of course, and some moves happened then. But it's if this Alpine is a sign of just seeing this happen more often, I don't like that, because it feels like F1 used to, at least, you commit to a driver, you commit to that lineup a little bit. That lineup should be your team's identity at least for a couple years from contract point. And it's like, we saw Lando Norris when he came to McLaren. He sat there for, obviously he came in and was very successful, but like that was a project, right? It was, and obviously, of course, Lando was just very good out the gate, as were Albon and Russell that rookie year. But, well, Russell was also in the Williams, though, so he was only scoring like P20 every weekend. But, that's whatever. But he looked fine. Like, it wasn't like he was underperforming. But it's like those conversations, it's like, I just think we need to go back to that. We need to like go back to, you invest in a rookie. Here's this class of rookies. You got to give them time. You've got to give them time. There's way too much pressure. And then when you go sign Franco Colapinto, you don't think that like affects Jack Doohan's mindset a little bit? Like, oh, I now have somebody breathing down my neck.
Oh, for sure.
And that's, again, we talk about it all the time on the podcast. I say this all the time. F1 is far more mental than anything else. These are already the 20 best drivers in the world, so the gaps are marginal. The thing making the difference a lot of the time is your mentality, especially between teammates. So it feels weird. It feels shitty. And again, it's not confirmed, but it is. There's a lot of rumors surrounding it, and then we've been talking about it for weeks. It seems like it's going to happen.
It's pretty confirmed.
Before Imola. And then you see this move where Oliver Oaks is resigning for, and then Flavio Briatore takes over. It makes you think. So that adds to this drama.
I mean, bottom line. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. I'll see. I can say what I want to say later. Go for it.
Bottom line is, if one's got a serious commitment issue, and I hope it's not going to be a trend. I hope this in season, these mid season changes won't be continuing. I hope they stick with their drivers and they stick with the confidence in their driver programs. Because at the end of the day, I mean, coming in as a rookie is one thing. You know, the mental aspect of this is horrible. We've said this before, but coming in knowing, okay, this contract is not 1 year where I can just try and get comfortable with the car, get some points while we're at it, but just really focus on, okay, first time F1, let's get this going, to it now being more like, all right, I'm coming in. I don't know for how long I'm coming in. It very much depends on how I perform instantly out of the gate. Some of these drivers weren't driving anything for a season because it sometimes takes a bit when they've done F2 the year prior, but maybe there wasn't a seat ready. So, I mean, obviously they're prepared to an extent, but it's a very different mentality. You can't really come in and be like, clean slate, all right, let's get this going. You're more coming in being like, okay, I've got people breathing down my neck instantly. All eyes on me anyways, but all eyes on my performance way more than I feel like it used to be, because I feel like normally you wouldn't be expecting a rookie to be doing that great instantly because you just know, I mean, he's fresh in. He's going to fuck up.
Right. I think that's the issue, and I also just think I do think there's an aspect of F1's at its biggest, you know, and so there's a lot of time you want to capitalize on the popularity of the sport at the moment and win now. But I don't think the Alpine team needs that instability in their driver lineup too, because we've seen, I don't even know how many times now, their team principal change in the past like 5 years. They change their team principal constantly.
Yeah.
And I know Flavio Briatore, the move bringing him in was supposed to be this, but when they originally brought him into the team last season, midway through, was supposed to be this attraction for drivers and this aggressive move to get this legend of Formula One back in. Whether you like him or not, he's got a reputation. Very, aggressive move that felt interesting, but it felt like a move you make whatever for. But team principal felt I didn't see that coming because I just thought we were finally maybe going in a direction with the current Alpine regime. At the end of last year, it looked like they were getting some pace. And I think we're also in a position now where you guys are switching to Mercedes engines next year. Yeah. So why switch now? I just don't think what you need to add to the team right now is more instability. I mean, you guys are already constantly the most chaotic team on track. Your drivers are either shunting or you are way underperforming or way overperforming for whatever reason. And you've made a lot of promises to different drivers on when you expect to be winning and fighting for podiums by, and you never reach those goals because every time you're in a regime, you don't give it enough time and somebody either backs down or gets fired.
Yeah.
And I really have hope that when they get the Mercedes engine in there, they're going to finally be competing, because that really has been what's holding Alpine back for many, many years, is that they have held on to their Renault engine. And admittedly, I'm a fan of more teams making their own engines. I think McLaren should make their own engine. I'm a fan of every team having their own. If I could choose that, I would. But I'm excited to see what Alpine can do with the Mercedes engine, because it is typically the best, most well-rounded engine on the grid. And if it just this... but you can't. They're not going to do anything with it if it's this chaotic all the time.
100%. I feel like at the end of the day, there might be a lot of behind the scenes sponsor pressure. 100%, where it's like, I mean, they need these cars to perform because of a financial aspect in this. So if they have massive shareholders saying, okay, we need another mix-up, even though it's not the best decision for the team, but in a business point of view, it makes more sense. Then I always understand the changes, regardless of how much it affects the teams.
Yeah, it's also on that topic. It's Alpine is in particular a team that has a lot of shareholders from big name people. Because they were committed to this 100 race plan for a long time. I don't know if there's anybody that watches the NBA. There was the Philadelphia 76ers. They had a slogan called "Trust the Process." That was very similar to the Alpine 100-day plan. It was just like this trust it. We're gonna this is what we're gonna do within 100 days. We're gonna start winning. We're gonna win a race within 100 days. Be competing for wins 100 days, whatever. That isn't happening, and you've now made a promise to a bunch of shareholders who are now unhappy because your drivers. Yes, you have Pierre Gasly, who is a fantastic driver, definitely in the top half of the better drivers on the grid, but. Sure. You're not, and then I guess your other driver coming out there and shunting isn't a good look. In the turn one in Miami, one of the biggest, revenue boosts, even if we don't like it as fans, it is one of the bigger revenue, bringers for Formula One. It's just not, there's probably is some pressure there. That's unfortunate because I don't think all this I just think Alpine's there's just too much going on in Enstone all the time. And I just feel like there needs to be some balance or they're going to find themselves out of the sport at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I fully agree with you. There's one more topic we have to talk about.
One more.
I don't know. Do you? I don't know if you have this on the radar, but I feel like we have to bring this up. Liam Lawson. Because this.
I actually wasn't gonna bring it up because I was gonna stay away from the sprint race.
Okay. I'll just make it quick, but it also happened in the normal race.
It is funny.
Cause there's like fan development here. Cause I really like Liam Lawson. I still like the guy. Just saying.
He's losing some fans quickly.
The way he races, it's just like. It's like that song you once brought up. It's like that. I'm Liam Lawson. Get out of my way. Because it's just
You're jealous that I'm quicker. Here's my middle finger, Liam Lawson. Like that. That is a genuine song that was made after the Mexico Grand Prix, and it stood at the test of time.
He just sends it. He just sends it down the inside, and he's like, he's got similar racecraft to Verstappen, with a difference that Verstappen gets alongside the person and still makes the corner, but he just doesn't. It's like.
I would say the only similarity though is that they're both just very aggressive. but Liam Lawson objectively and this could change. We'll see. But as of everything I've seen since he's come into F1, honestly has some of the worst racecraft I've ever seen from a Formula One driver. I've seen Nikita Mazepin on the racetrack. So, and I'm not saying that he's worse than Nikita Mazepin, but I'm just saying at least Nikita Mazepin was never fighting anybody. He was just crashing. So I don't really know. But Liam Lawson, not only is he underperforming to his teammate every weekend consistently at this point, when he does get wheel-to-wheel with somebody, has consistently made it a problem. He's racking up penalties this year. I won't be surprised if he finds himself with a disqualification because of the penalty points rule by the end of the year if he keeps racing like this, because he's gotten so many penalties. And I mean, that move on Alonso in the sprint race was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was a move I would make on you in F1, the video game. That is a move I would make fighting for the championship or something, because I think, this is my last chance to beat you. And then I send us both out of the race or something.
100%. 100%.
And the fact that it's Alonso again, because Alonso hates Liam Lawson. At least during when that was all going on last year and they had the shunt and not fans of each other already. And then he just does it again. I was like, no way.
It's ridiculous.
He was off track and he pushed himself off track. It's like he was trying to push Alonso back onto the track. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
I don't know, but I think your comparison was very accurate. It's what you would do on the F1 game.
When I have no stakes in it and I'm just driving for fun, and probably the damage is not quite as sensitive as it is in a real F1 car, so I just kind of bump into you like a bumper car, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know." But Liam Lawson, listen, man, this isn't Cars the movie. You're not going to make that move. I don't know.
You've got
It was bad.
bringing in everything he's got from the simulator, and then you've got Liam Lawson, who still thinks he is in the simulator. So
you know, I think if there's one thing we've learned is that there is something you just can't do about natural talent this year, and that is proven by the likes of Kimi Antonelli, Oliver Behrman,
yeah,
just outshining. I think it also goes to prove one thing.
mm-hmm.
The Liam Lawson decision was not only right in terms of like, or promoting him down was not only right in terms of like Yuki seems to be doing okay. Like obviously he's not pulling in Verstappen finishes, but I think as we've discussed, that car is also a problem. So you can't expect Yuki. You can't call the car a problem and then expect him to be scoring tons of points every week. And the fact that he's in the points is better than Perez or Lawson were doing. So, he's finishing the races. That's
yeah.
And so I think again, like we've talked about before, obviously the car has the pace to win, but it's so difficult to drive. A P10 finish is not bad. So I won't, you know what I mean? But it also proves that there was probably something we didn't know when we first saw the move made and we were like, "Whoa, that seems really quick to kick Lawson out." Because clearly Lawson has proven to us this year that he just has some natural flaws.
Yeah. No.
I mean, he's getting whooped by Hadjar consistently, and then every time he is wheel to wheel with somebody, just shunts it. So it's unfortunate, but I just we will talk about it probably all year until. I mean, how much longer does Lawson have an F1 at this rate? I mean, the rumors are they want to get somebody in, so I think till the end of the year. But it seems like I think whoever finishes lower out of Hadjar and Lawson's going to be out.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
yeah.
Anyways, I think we've covered a good amount of ground here on this episode.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Well, we have Imola coming up next. We should do a race preview and review for that one, as I've got my internet back, and hopefully Nicholas will have his lighting back. We'll see. But we'll record regardless. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. If you did enjoy, make sure you follow us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all the places, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.